I see a lot of familiar faces from last night. I'm very proud of each and every one of you and appreciate you in staying the course and treading along the path to become a scientific researcher. So I appreciate you very much. Today we are in for a special treat. We will follow the program as outlined. My name is Dr. Dawn McNair. I'm the Dean of the Division of Math and Science, and I would like to welcome you to our third event, Passport to Entrepreneurship. Ms. Carter will be doing the official welcome, but I wanted to say thank you so much for coming out this morning, and make sure that you get your passport stamp. How did you guys feel about last night? Okay, so once again, thank you so much, and I'm so happy to see each and every one of you this morning. Dr. Burrell.
O Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Good morning. Will you please bow your heads with me as we go to God in prayer? O Lord, we invoke your presence for this journey of entrepreneurship in STEMs. We ask your blessings upon those who will be seeking to embark on this journey. Let them be reminded that this is a journey of excellence. Lord, we saw your excellence on display in 1879 when this great institution we call Livingstone College was found. We witnessed your excellence again with the creation of the Duncan Science Building. And now, as we move into the 21st century, we see your excellence manifested in the Shipman Science Annex. We know that there will be times when the students will feel weak. We know there will be times when they will be struggling for answers. And we know there will be times when they feel all alone. However, we can be assured through your omnipotence, your omniscience, and your omnipresence, these feelings will be fleeting. And Lord, as these young men and women go forward to take their place in the world, may they remember this day and all that it embodies. We wish that all that they do be a representation of the excellence that is Livingstone College and the excellence that is you. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Welcome to the Passport to Entrepreneurship lecture this morning. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend this keynote lecture. Given the meticulous planning, exceptional speaker, and student focus, you are in for an impressive display of support, love, and encouragement by the best STEM department on this side of heaven. I would like to acknowledge the dedication and hard work of our talented staff members and students, in addition to the many staff who have worked tirelessly to put this event together. Without their contribution and hard work, this event wouldn't be possible. Can we have a round of applause for their hard work? I would also like to thank each person in the audience. Your mere presence speaks to support the STEM initiatives here at Livingstone. This commemorates and celebrates a new chapter in the STEM initiatives here at Livingstone College. As the college embarks on various endeavors in research, community outreach, and entrepreneurship, our prayer is that each of you will support our students in the quest to fulfill various roles on their global stage. From medicine to agriculture, from STEM classrooms to corporate boardrooms, our students are well on their way to changing the world and on their way to advancing the field of STEM. Thank you again for making the time in your busy schedule to attend this Passport to Entrepreneurship lecture, and I am certain you'll be glad you did.
Good morning. I have the pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning, Dr. Anika S Goodwin. She is a certified ophthalmologist, and she has subspecialty training in oculofacial plastic surgery. She has founded her own company, OpulenceMD Beauty. It's a luxury eye beauty brand featuring luxury magnetic eyelashes. Dr. Goodwin has earned her degree in pharmacy from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 1997. And in 2001, she earned her degree from Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston. Dr. Goodwin has performed over 10,000 surgical procedures in her career. In addition, she provides a pair of her luxury magnetic lashes to women suffering from their loss due to alopecia or chemotherapy, free of charge, in order to help boost their confidence and encourage them on their journey. To say the least, this woman has done incredible things and continuing to do incredible things, and it's a pleasure to introduce the keynote speaker, Dr. Anika S Goodwin.
Thank you, Ms. Jones, for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. Thank you to Dr. McNair for having me come speak to you. It's been the highlight for me. I've been looking forward to it. I really enjoy coming to speak to our next generation because you guys will be the entrepreneurs of the next generation. You will be the ones who are creating new technology and bringing new ideas to the market. So it's my pleasure to be here today. So 8 years ago, I moved back to North Carolina. I'm a native South Carolinian. In order to take a job right down the street at the VA. I was going to be practicing ophthalmology there and had no idea in 2013 that there was any chance that I would be standing here on this stage today talking to you about entrepreneurship. It just was not on my roadmap at all. So let me give you a bit of background about my journey into this because it is absolutely not something I ever thought I'd do. So I finished my fellowship in 2006 and I left Michigan and moved to Georgia to take my first job. And I was in utter bliss. I absolutely thought it was the most perfect time in life. I was making more money than I ever had before. I was closer to home than I ever had been when I was in training. I trained in New York and I trained in Michigan. So I was back to my southern roots in warm weather, and I was loving every bit of it. My practice was growing and thriving. I had one beautiful daughter. I was planning to have a second child, and I thought things were perfect. Back home in South Carolina, my dad started to have slurring of his speech, and this was something new for him. Sounded like he was drinking all the time, but my dad didn't even drink. So being a daddy's girl, I found this especially concerning, and I made sure to kind of stay plugged in and make sure he got to the doctors that he needed to get to be evaluated. It took us a little time and a lot of testing to figure out that my dad had ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. Does anyone know what that is? ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease? It's a disease basically where your body stops working. The muscles in your body stop working. You get to a point where you can't speak, you can't hold your head up, you can't walk, you can't eat because all of the muscles essentially shut down, but your brain is still sharp. So you're still very aware of the things that you can and can't do. So I left Georgia and I moved back to South Carolina because I felt the need to help take care of my dad. He wanted to stay home. He did not want to go to a home or have outside people taking care of him. So I did what a good daughter does, and I moved back home. His ALS progressed rather quickly once we figured out the diagnosis. And on November the 30th of 2012, my dad passed away. It was just after Thanksgiving. After feeling like someone had snatched the rug out from under me, 39 days later, as I was still grieving the loss of my dad, my mom, 3 days after having a 15-minute procedure on her knee, passed away from a massive pulmonary embolus, which is a blood clot that hit her lung. She was at my house. I saw her that morning before I left to go to work, and she seemed fine. And literally the 30 minutes it took me to get to work, she called me, she had passed out, and she was gone by the time I made it back to my house. So this was totally a new territory for me. I had no idea how I was going to navigate this situation. I couldn't see the path, much less try to continue on it. Everything that I worked for, so hard for, seemed not to matter at all at that point. And I just didn't know how I was going to heal from such a huge loss and so close together. But then 3 months later, my husband, who I've been married to, who's my college sweetheart, we've been married for 14 years. We just had our second child, another daughter. I found out that he was cheating. I found out because I saw the email that he sent to his mistress about my mother's passing. I was devastated, to say the least. I was as depressed could be. I had no will to get out of bed. I had nothing to look forward to. I felt like I might as well be dead too, because everything that I knew, everything that was familiar to me, felt like it was gone. I didn't see any joy in anything. My vision became very much tunneled. I focused on one thing from day to day, and that was just surviving that day and making it to the next. It was during that time that I stayed focused on survival that I went through the most creative time I've ever had in my life. I literally had idea after idea after idea. I wasn't acting on these things yet, but I was definitely saying someone should create, or there should be a. And sure enough, a year later, 6 months later, in some cases, I would see that thing in the market. So I started to realize that I had a propensity to be able to see things that weren't there yet, to see the white space is what I like to call it. Well, I knew I needed a change after all of these life changes, and so I decided to move. I left South Carolina because it didn't feel like home to me anymore, and I decided to move back to North Carolina. And I chose North Carolina because some of the best years of my life were spent here in this state. I went to UNC Chapel Hill. That's how Dr. McNair and I met. I had so many good friends and connections and a really strong network still here, and so it felt like I needed to make that move. I took that job at the VA after the move, and I remember thinking I was going to probably spend the rest of my medical career as a physician there and retire. God had other plans. I had no idea, and no one else did either, that my journey to entrepreneurship would begin shortly after that. And today I just want to tell you a little bit about the things that I learned along the way that I think are important to take into account if you want to have a successful business. So starting a business is something that millions of people dream about. Especially now after COVID, it seems like so many people, after losing their job or just deciding they didn't want to go back to work after COVID, are becoming entrepreneurs. You see it everywhere. Everyone has a business. But few people actually go and make the business successful and hold on to the business more than about a year or two. The fact is that 8 out of 10 startups fail. That's pretty alarming. 8 out of 10 startups will never pass beyond 1 year in their business. If only there was a roadmap, something that would lead you to success in your business, then that statistic would probably be very, very different. Well, I can't tell you that there's one way to get to success in your business, but I can definitely share with you that there are some very key pathways and milestones that are involved in creating a successful, sustainable business. And those are the things that I'd like to talk to you about today. So come along with me while I'm your tour guide as we talk about the pathway to success in business. The first stop that we'll talk about is innovation. Innovation is defined as the creation, development, and implementation of a new product, process, or service with the aim of improving efficiency, effectiveness, or competitive advantage. I like to think of innovation as finding the white space and filling it, finding the gap and bridging it. That sounds a lot easier, doesn't it, than innovation. It doesn't have to be anything groundbreaking. It doesn't have to be like creating, finding or or discovering electricity or anything like that. It just needs to solve a problem. It needs to solve a problem that many people have. And sometimes there is even an existing solution to the problem. Excuse me. Your solution doesn't have to be novel. It just has to be better than what's out there. So sometimes it's about just improving what is already there. I told you during the time when I was really focused, I found myself saying, there has to be a better way, or someone should come up with. How many of you have said that at some point in time? You were doing something, you were like, there has to be an easier way to do this. Well, if you've done that, the only thing separating you and an entrepreneur is finding the answer rather than just asking if it's out there. So if you are on a pathway to entrepreneurship, start to answer those basic questions about how can this be done better, or how can this be done differently? And then you will be on a sure path to possibly having a successful business. The second step on the journey is creativity. You should always be looking for ways to improve your business and stand out from the crowd. Always keep your mind open to new ideas and better ways of doing things. You're going to keep hearing that same thing. Excuse me. The key to that is realizing and admitting that you don't know everything. And the doctor in me had a hard time with that because I thought I knew a whole lot of stuff. But as an entrepreneur, it was totally new to me. And in order to be successful, I had to admit the things that I wasn't comfortable with and that I didn't know, and I had to seek help in those areas because it is the collective effort that makes the business successful. The third stop is organization. How many of you keep a planner or a calendar or something like that? Yes. You will never see me without my planner. It's in my bag right now. I rely on a list. It helps me keep track of the daily, weekly, and the monthly things that I have to do. It not only serves as a reminder of the things that I have to do, it shows me what I accomplished. I love looking back at my calendar at the end of a week. It looks a mess to most people, but to me it looks like work done, and I love that. Be sure to adequately train team members within your business too, because that organization of knowing who has been delegated to what task, making sure that task has been done is going to be important. Just because you delegate a task doesn't mean that it comes off your plate. It is your responsibility to make sure that you're following up with the person to make sure that it's done and done correctly, because after all, it is your business, it is your name, and it is your credibility at the end of the day. I like to think of organization as a fertilizer for a business. If you're diligent in this area, then your business will not only survive, but thrive. So aim to be organized. The fourth stop is sacrifice. So you might think that trying to get your business up and running and all the planning just to get to the launch is the hard part. And then you're going to launch your business, your product, and you're going to say, gosh, I'm glad that's over. But it really doesn't work that way. I've never worked harder in my life than I have being an entrepreneur. No more 40-hour work weeks, no more weekends off. I am constantly working in and on my business. And there will be family members and there will be friends who won't understand why you're not free to go to a party or why you're not free to hang out with them. It's because your business becomes your main priority. And so there'll be lots of sacrifices that you make. I will tell you early on to decide if the business you're creating is a business that you want to work in or on. Some people think that creating a business means that you won't work. Well, that depends on the type of business you create. Some people don't create a business, they create a job for themselves. And they become the sole person who is running and pushing that business forward. So decide early on if this is a business that you want to be in working or you want to run. And I choose to run my business because I've had enough of the 80-hour weeks. The next stop is curiosity. When you're in business, if something's been done before, spend some time learning about your competition. Spend some time learning from the people who've gone before you, especially if they've been around for a while. If they've had a measure of success, I can guarantee you it is not by accident. I can guarantee you they have done some things very, very well and right. And so you would need to look at those things and learn from those things. And it doesn't have to be that you purely imitate it, but you can imitate it and have it evolve into something that works for your company. If someone has found something that works, don't recreate the wagon wheel. Start from there, iterate, and make it better. There are some business classics out there if you are seriously interested in becoming an entrepreneur that you should absolutely read. And I will send a list to Dr. McNair so you can start perusing some of those things that will prepare you for the things you need to know going into entrepreneurship. The next stop is resourcefulness. Setbacks are a guarantee. They will happen. But what sets you apart is your ability to deal with the setbacks. How do you pivot? How do you rebound when things happen? If you have extra production costs, if you have extra inventory, and you think, I might need a loan to bridge this financial gap this month, then before you just go to the bank and ask for the maximum amount, stop, look at your business, look to see if there are things that you can cut, if there are expenses that aren't necessarily needed at that time before you take out the full loan. There's always more than one way to skin the cat. And so being resourceful is going to help you in figuring out new and creative ways to solve problems. The next stop is consistency. There's a saying that goes, if you continue to do what you're doing now, you will continue to get the same results. And most people take that as being bad, right? You've heard that as being bad. Well, it's good in business. Because if you found something that works, if you found something that is successful, keep doing it. Don't stop. And so that's why systems and processes in your business are so important. If you found the formula that works well, but you haven't documented it, how are you going to iterate it? How will you continue? And so when you're in business, be really, really sure to keep good notes about what works and then be consistent in doing that. The next stop is focus. Don't expect your business to be an overnight success. It doesn't work that way. People are not going to even know you exist when you first launch. Your business is your entire world to you, but to everyone else, they've never heard of it. And so it's going to take a lot of focus in order for you to create that awareness and make other people know that your brand is there and solves a problem. That takes time. So stay focused on the short term and the long term. The short term is having people know about your business, and the long term is having a successful business. The next stop is courage. I entered my very first pitch competition in 2017. I was 42 years old. I launched Opulence in 2020, February the 14th of 2020. I was 45 years old. There is no too young, there is no too old, there is no too ignorant, there is no too busy. In reality, there's only too scared. Fear has murdered more dreams than anything else. It won't be easy. It won't be easy at all. You won't be immediately successful, and you won't see the fruits of your labor immediately. But it will be worth it if you stay the course. If you can't muster the courage to step out on faith and pursue your dream, my best advice to you is just do it scared. Just get it done. I've launched many things that didn't feel ready, but if I didn't launch then, when was I going to launch? So put it out into the world, make it better as you go. The next stop that you're going to encounter on your entrepreneurial journey is having thick skin. For many business owners, their business is like their baby. I don't know if anyone in here has children, but if you have a child, you don't want anybody to think your baby's ugly, do you? Everybody to think your baby's cute, and that's how you are with your business. You want everyone to be as excited about your business as you are. But unfortunately, that won't be the case. You're going to go through disappointments with vendors and with wholesalers, with customers who are going to give you bad reviews, and just in general may not like your product. But the bottom line is, these things will happen, but your reaction to them determines whether you are a success or not. Take what is constructive, use it to help you improve and grow your business, and let all that's negative roll off your back. The next stop is mindset. Mindset is everything. As the young folks say, mindset is bae. And I want to share something with you that I just thought about. Dr. McNair and I were talking in her office before I came over. And I want to give you a glimpse of what my mindset was before I ever launched Opulence. I posted this on December 29th of 2018. And it says, note to self, a year from now, you won't recognize me. I am going to become a legend. I'm going to commit myself to mastery in every area of my life. I am going to become unstoppable. That's how I felt. That's what I felt. I expected nothing but the work in to make it happen. And so it all begins with your mindset. So if you are not giving yourself those positive affirmations every single day, you need to start. You need to start. Because being able to manifest your destiny is real. And I am standing here as proof of that. The next stop is self-care. So I mentioned as an entrepreneur, 40-hour work week has gone out of the window. You're going to be working all the time. My phone, I was telling Dr. McNair, I literally broke a whole sound on my phone because I was getting so many messages, it won't even make the sound anymore. You are going to work like you never thought you would. It is both a gift and a curse. But you need to take at least one day off to do other things, to focus on other people in your life. I promise you, if you do that, your business will not fail. Many people will think, well, what's going to happen if I'm not working in my business? What's going to happen if I take a day off? What's going to happen if you can't work in your business? What's going to happen if you get COVID and you're down for a month? You have to prepare your business to be able to run without you, even if it doesn't have to. So the last stop, I think, is the secret sauce. I think is where the magic really, really happens. And the last stop is vision. It's what I call vision. So sight is the faculty or power of being able to see things. Vision is the ability to think or plan the future with imagination and wisdom. Vision is the reason why your business is unique to you, even if you're selling the exact same thing as the girl or guy down the street. It is your, what we call USP, your unique selling proposition. It is what you bring that can be imitated, but can never be duplicated. It is the reason I can give everyone in this room the same stops, and yet all of you will have different journeys along the path to entrepreneurship. I think vision is the thing that separates those who are destined to be successful versus those who are destined for failure. So why does Dr. McNair have this ophthalmologist up here talking to us about entrepreneurship? I'm not a business expert by any stretch of the imagination. I have no formal business training. I've never taken a business class. I'm an eye surgeon, and I do that really, really well. So who am I to give you advice on business, on survival, on perseverance, on anything besides ophthalmology, which would probably have you all sleeping by now? Well, my answer to that is this. Sometimes the best person to lead you out of the darkness is not necessarily the person with the best sight. It is not necessarily the person who has the most experience or the most education. Sometimes what you really need is the person who has vision, the person who's navigated the obstacles successfully and made a way despite the darkness. Every single one of you is a visionary. Every single one of you is a visionary. It's time to step into that. Become that role. Start to manifest that. Stop letting what your eyes see, what your sight tells you, to dictate what is and what can be. Don't let it dictate your next move. Let your vision be your guide. Forge the path with imagination and wisdom. I wish all of you good sight, Godspeed, and amazing vision for a lifetime. I'm happy to take any questions that you have about anything.
Good morning. Sorry, I was taking notes on my phone, and I did not get that last one. What is USP?
Unique selling proposition.
Thank you.
The USP in my business is that I'm an eye surgeon. There's never been a lash line created by someone who sees eyes and lashes from a different perspective as more than just an instrument for beauty. So that's my unique selling proposition. It's the thing that makes my business stand out from all of my direct competitors. And it's important to know that in your own business as you're thinking about it, what makes me different, what makes me special. And that will give you key insight onto how you market your business.
So, Dr. Goodwin, if you could inspire our students and go back and reflect to when you were 19 and 20 years old, of all the wonderful advice that you gave our students, if there was one golden nugget that you could leave with our students reflecting retrospectively at age 19 or 20, what would it be?
So I remember being in an auditorium similar to this at Carolina my freshman year. I'll never forget it. And Dean Rosalind Fuse Hall was on the stage giving the whole look to your left, look to your right, one of these people is not going to be here lectures. And I remember her saying one thing that planted a seed in me. You can do this. So many times when you're starting out, people are telling you how hard it's going to be, all the difficulties, all the obstacles, and they focus on that. But instead of leaving us with the message of how difficult it was going to be, she left us with the message of, but you can do this. And when it was hard, because I went to pharmacy school, and I remember spending long nights in the library thinking, I am never going to be ready for this test. But I would hear her say, you can do this. And so that's the thing that I want to leave you with. Nothing is easy. Nothing in life will come easily. If you remember, though, that you have everything you need to do it, then you'll get it done. The answer is already yes. You just have to rise to the occasion and get there.
So, hi, Dr. Gu. I'd like to say that was an excellent presentation. Could you share with us how was it like to be on Shark Tank?
Sure. So it was an interesting experience. I've been a Shark Tank junkie forever. I don't watch very much television. Shark Tank is one of the few things that I watch, like record, all the things. And I'd always said, this is going back to manifesting, I would love to be on Shark Tank one day. I would love to be on Shark Tank one day. And I'm in a business mastermind because the conversation is different when you sit with winners. So I try to find where the winners are sitting and sit with them. So in my business mastermind, there was someone there who mentioned Shark Tank had reached out to her. And I remember telling my husband, I was like, gosh, that would be my dream. I would love to go on Shark Tank. Well, a few days later, I missed a phone call and I noticed that I had a voicemail. I went into my voicemail and I saw that I actually had two, not just the call I just missed. So I listened to the call I just missed and I went back and listened to the second one. And sure enough, 3 days earlier on the same day, my mastermind buddy had posted, Shark Tank reached out to her. I had a message from Shark Tank. They'd noticed my brand because we were doing the right things. We were going through the right channels to create that brand awareness. And they wanted to discuss with me the possibility of me being on Shark Tank. And so at that point it started. There was a brief phone interview where they're basically getting a feel for you. They want to see what kind of energy you have. Are you excited about your business? Are you passionate? So evidently I passed that test. And the next thing was a whole lot of paperwork. I mean, when I say a whole lot of paperwork, I had to have a box with all the paperwork to send back to them. And I had to create a 10-minute tape telling them basically about my business and why I should be on Shark Tank. After that, I had to decrease my pitch down to 5 minutes, record another video. I had to meet with the executive producers. I had to go through my pitch with 2 of the other producers. And you literally don't know if you've made it until the point where they send you your airplane tickets. And so I got my tickets. We filmed in Las Vegas instead of California where they normally film because of COVID. So they created a bubble, basically, at the Venetian Hotel. We had an entire wing of the hotel to ourselves. We had to have COVID tests before we left, had to fly in, get COVID tests upon arrival, get a COVID test midweek, get a COVID test before we went out to pitch. Passed all those tests, and the morning of, got there, you sit in a holding area, there's groups that they bring you in, and my group pitched. I think I was the third or fourth one in my group. And I just remember walking out on stage and feeling like, oh my God, these are the sharks and I am here. And I was super nervous, of course, but I made up my mind right then. I was like, this is my opportunity. Am I gonna go out here and be nervous, or I'm gonna own this thing? And I just showed up exactly like that. I was like, if this is my 5 minutes, I'm about to make it 6 and get what I came for. And I got a deal.
Hi, I read that you worked with Kendra Scott. Do you do anything with jewelry as well?
I do not do anything at all with jewelry. So Kendra Scott offered me a deal because she saw that we had very similar audiences. So it was strategic, basically. Who buys her jewelry? Women. And her jewelry is not necessarily cheap, so it's usually, she has a lot of mature women, and it's not kids, basically. And so she saw that we had very similar audiences and saw some synergy there. And she also told me that she saw a bit of herself in me, and that was why she elected to give me a deal that we were able to close, because not everybody who gets a deal on the show actually closes their deal. I didn't find that out. I didn't realize that until after the fact, but we were actually able to close our deal. Any other questions? Anybody interested in the health sciences and healthcare in here? Yes? Yeah. No questions about that? I'm open to that. I'm still a doctor too.
How you doing?
I'm good.
How did you get your brand name?
So it was a process, and that's what I was talking about when I say launching is such a big thing. I started with what I wanted my brand to feel like, how I wanted people to feel when they experienced my product and my brand. And what kept coming to me was I wanted it to feel like a lavish experience. And in coming up with that, that name just came to me, and it just worked. And that was the whole premise behind the set on Shark Tank. It was a lot glitzy, diamonds, those kind of things, because that was the feeling that I wanted people to walk away from my brand with. And I think that my marketing people have done a great job in bringing that to life and packaging and all those things.
What drew you to ophthalmology?
Thank you for asking that question. So, I don't have any doctors in my family, none at all. I didn't grow up with people who were even nurses in the hospital. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be a doctor. So when I got to medical school, I was really, really open to experiencing all the different rotations and trying to figure out what I loved. So medical school, when I went to medical school, first 2 years were in a classroom a lot like this, listening to lectures, taking notes, and taking tests. And then after that, you go into your third year, which is where you start to do clinical rotations, and you get a chance to kind of get a feel for all the different specialties. Well, I did that, and I hated everything. And I was like, Lord have mercy, here I am, gone through these first 2 years, and I don't like anything. I hated medicine, I hated peds, I hated psych, I hated all the things. And finally, I did a surgical rotation, and I knew I found my home. I enjoyed working with my hands. I enjoyed fixing things. I was always a fixer. And so at that point, it was just about figuring out what type of surgery I wanted to do. I'd never in my life thought that I would do anything with eyeballs. They actually were kind of gross to me. I never thought I'd do that. And so I started to focus more on potentially being a OBGYN and doing surgery on women. I kind of liked it. It was okay. I didn't hate it. And so I said, well, maybe this is supposed to be what I do. Well, I started to apply for matching an OBGYN, and I had a lot of interviews scheduled, and I had a lot of interviews, particularly 1 month, and so I decided to do an easy elective. What I was told was an easy elective, which was ophthalmology. They said, oh, they're really cool. They'll give you time off to do your interviews. Great. I said, okay, cool. I'm going to sign up for ophthalmology for this month. I ended up choosing the place that I wanted to do OB in the prior month. So I didn't keep all of those interviews because the process was super expensive. So I ended up having more time to spend on my ophthalmology rotation. And honey, when I tell you that I loved it, it was like the heavens opened up and the sun shined down on me because I loved it that much. And it found me, I say, because I just knew at that moment that was the thing I wanted to do every day. That was the thing I wanted to do every day, hands down. So you have to keep your mind open. I would never have chosen it, and I'm so thankful every single day that someone told me to do that rotation, because I may have missed out on what I believe was my destiny, because I know that I'm meant to be an eye surgeon.
We're going to take 2 more questions.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Referring back to the last question, I guess I would just say, like, how do you know, like, entrepreneurship is like the route to go, you know? Like, knowing that.
So the last part, how do I know that entrepreneurship
is like the route to go, like your purpose, finding your purpose?
Yeah. So mine had more to do with life circumstance. So I found out my husband was cheating, all the things. And I was a physician. He wasn't a physician. So I made more money than he did. And he had basically made up his mind that if I wouldn't keep him, if he couldn't have me, then he would try to break me. And he tried to do that financially. It's a lot easier to be an entrepreneur and have some control over your income than it is to work for the VA and everybody in America knows exactly how much you make. So I started to look into, because I had always been someone who had ideas. I'd always had ideas. There was no shortage of ideas. I started to look into actually putting the pedal to the metal and bringing it to life. And it just happened because I needed it to happen. And I needed it to be successful. I needed some other alternative means of creating income to take care of myself and my girls. And so I was motivated strictly by that. And the rest is history. So whatever motivates you, it won't be the same for everybody. Some people tell you, oh, it's just the love of creating something new. It's not always that. Do I enjoy that? Absolutely. It's a high for me. But the truth was I needed to do something different.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. My question was, how did you manage your lifestyle after your success?
I had always had a measure of success. Being in medicine affords you with a lifestyle that many people don't have. So I was used to a certain lifestyle. And so I will say, because of that, entrepreneurship did not kind of, make me feel like, oh my God, I have all this money now, what am I going to do? As a matter of fact, it was just the opposite. I became very focused on growing my business. So not just having a business, I wanted to have a brand. I wanted to have a well-known brand, a multi-million-dollar business. So what I did, because I was still practicing medicine, and I still practice today, I took anything my business earned and invested it back so that we could grow and grow exponentially. So I'll give you an example. I launched February the 14th of 2020. By November the 4th of 2020, I had crossed my first $1 million in sales in 9 months. And that was because instead of taking money out, I infused more money in. Every dime I put back, I increased my marketing, I increased my branding, I grew my team and brought more people on who could work in their expertise and help the business grow. At the end of 2020, being about 6 weeks shy of a full 365 days, we had done just under $1.5 million in revenue. again, because of the ability to reinvest and grow. We doubled that last year in 2021. We did about $3.4 million in revenue last year. We're not even 2 years old yet. So I took that initial success and used it to drive more success.
Let's give Dr. Goodwin a hand. Thank you, Dr. Goodwin, for spending your time with us today. She is the true master of the grind. As she stated, we met back in college, and she inspires me to stick with it, to persevere, to maximize grit and mindset. And so on behalf of the Division of Math and Science, we have a small token for you today and appreciate your coming out and hope you will join us again.
I've already told Dr. McNair I have some projects in mind for you guys, so you'll be seeing me.
Yes, Dr. Goodwin, when she says she's on the creative hustle, so we will be discussing some things, and we want to include you to be a part of growing a business here at Livingstone. And so she has decided to allow us to take on one of her projects so that the college and you can have the experience of developing a product from start to finish in full commercial launch. So thank you again, Dr. Goodwin. So if there are no other questions, I would like to call Ms. Brianna Mickens to the stage to close us out.
Bow your heads with me as we go to God in prayer. Gracious God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this program. Thank you for entrepreneurship. Bless all our future endeavors. Bless Livingstone College. Now, as we leave this place, but never from your presence, protect us, look down on the college. Bless us all. In your son's name, I pray. Amen.
Don't leave, we want to get a photo afterwards. So if everyone will come up, we'll take a photo right here on the stairs. Thank you again so much.